right, guys. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Are we in afternoon yet?
Yeah.
We're in afternoon. Cool. This is gonna be a pretty short meeting, guys. I was really debating on what I wanted to talk to y'all about today, and I think it's pretty cool because it's more like I would rather take a little bit more time away from the day to day, like the field, the sales a little bit, and really just pour into more people about, hey, this is where the long term is. Okay, this is a really important time because we have a lot of sharp people pushing for leadership. Okay, raise your hand if you're entry level. Okay, like look around. Look, these are the future leaders of tomorrow. And I heard this great quote by Ken Weinrupp, who's a partner in the Verizon campaign with Larry Tenenbaum, and he makes well into the seven figures. And he says one thing, and I want you to write this quote down. He goes, so many people going through this program get in their hamster. Okay, so this is the quote. Don't get lost in their hamster wheel of today's production. Instead, focus on tomorrow's leaders. Right? Think about what's more important, today's production or tomorrow's leaders. What's more important in a company, right? The people who are going to lead the charge or the people who are doing the day-to-day? Yeah, don't get lost in the hamster wheel of today's production. Instead, focus on tomorrow's leaders. And the thing is like, I tell people this, is that I had to learn this the hard way. Okay, so a little quick short story is that I didn't know where standards derived from. I did not know the importance of standards. I did not know why it was so important, why I needed to teach my new hire how to do 10 like me every day. Like, Richard, I'll just do all the sales myself. I'm like, hey bro, what's your code? I'm like, and I don't recommend doing this, but I'm like, hey, what's your code? All right, cool, I'll give you 2 by the end of the day. Don't talk to me. And then I'll just go on and sell. And I'll do 8, and I'll give them 2, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's have a good one. I'm like, I'm happy with that. And then they would leave after 1 week. And it's so funny. I'm like, Richard, I'm giving these people money. Why don't they stay? And I'll just hand them sales. Right? And I never understood the importance of creating a standard mentally to be able to hold a standard physically. I never understood that, the importance of that. And it's so cool because when Richard ran this meeting for me, right, which is our upline who runs the Dallas office, he showed how difference in standard might not affect you today, but why standards will affect your income for the next 3 years. And that's exactly what I want to talk about, okay? Is the importance of standards. Okay, so we're talking a little bit about money. Now, if you're that person who's like, oh my God, Danny's talking about money. Okay, I was always taught, hey, you're not allowed to ask your parents how much money they make or how much money they have. Who else was like that with me? Okay, I realized that I was not allowed to ask my parents about money because they didn't have enough of it. And when I realized that people don't like talking about what they're lacking in was the biggest flaw. Okay, and so when I came into this industry and they started talking a lot about money, I was like, this is really cool. Like, they're so open, they're so transparent, right? Like they're honest on how much they're making. I'm like, that's so weird, and it turned me off a little bit. I'm like, why do they want to talk so much about money? And it's because, right, this next quote that I really like is money amplifies morals. Money amplifies morals. What you hold to be important now will be replicated in management. That's why this process is so important. Okay, think about it. That's why the 6 months are so important, because we want to teach you values. We want to teach you ethic. We want to teach you morale. Because when you start recruiting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, and they'll have an office of where they only know your voice, can we agree you're going to be a big influence to them? So if you don't have the right morals, you're going to be a good or a bad influence? We're going to be bad influences, and we don't want to do that, right? That'd be disrespectful to the opportunity, and that'd be disrespectful to our outlines. That's why the 6 months training is so important, to hold standards not only in the production, in the field, but also in ethics. And if you hold standards in ethics, right, it will produce production in the field. Okay, and I want you to at least internalize that a little bit, okay? I want us to internalize that just a little bit more, okay? Ethics amplifies production, not the other way around. Ethics amplifies production. Doing the right thing when no one's looking is the reason why people qualify. Okay, qualifying does not make you a good person. Being a good person makes you qualified. Everyone understand that concept now?
Yes.
Okay, so now translate that into management. Okay, you can hire people who do 10 every single day and have just this zoo office that just goes out there and they're just sales animals. Or you can have someone that is a little rough around the edges and coach them up and coach them ethically and morally that doesn't get the sales right away because they're overqualified to do the sales. And instead you teach them the importance of the sales and then they get it done. That way they can actually go into the leadership on why they actually got hired in the first place. Which route sounds harder, first off? The first or the second route?
Second.
The second route sounds harder. Which one, long term, is better?
Second one.
So if it's harder, does it mean it's wrong?
No.
No, it just means that you will receive the fruit later on. There's two terms. There's instant gratification, and then there's delayed gratification. There's short-term gratification, instant gratification, and then there's delayed gratification. I kept giving my people the sales, giving them qualifying days. And it would produce me these leaders. And it produced me leaders who were leaders by title, not by mentality. Right? Because the day I'd let them go solo, they'd go and roll a donut. And I'm like, bro, what happened? And it was because I was giving them on sales. So they actually had no fundamentals to actually produce leadership on their own. It was almost like I was creating leeches on me as a bad leader. I was creating people who needed me to be around in order for them to even survive. And isn't that exhausting as a leader? That the office only does good when you're there. Right? Richard is in a business now where after 3 years of being an owner, 4 years of being an owner, he's created just this well-oiled machine where people don't even know if he's there or not. Yeah, he sent 87 people to the field the other day. This is a crazy statistic. His office alone in Dallas, Texas, knocked on 10,000 doors yesterday. His office alone knocked on 10,000 doors. Do you think they're gonna sell something?
Yeah.
I'm like, at least one. Right? He has 4 different campaigns, and it not only does that produce a lot of revenue, but it produces this place where you need to hold down the standards. And if we create that same mentality where standards over production, it's gonna make the production feed into it. Ethics amplifies production, not the other way around. And in management, this is what it looks like. Okay, the average for Verizon, okay, is about 2.3 on a national scale. But water is about 3. So can we say the average? Can we say the national average can be like about 2.5?
Yeah.
Okay, 2.5. Awesome. Awesome. So 2.5. Now the average office runs about 10 to 15 people. Remember when we interviewed you? You say, hey, you're gonna be the core leader for about 10 to 15 people. Okay, the reason why is because nationally the average office runs about 10 to 15. Okay, Richard's organization, our organization that you're a part of, is absolutely insane. Okay, Tracy and Alante, they actually just broke 30 leaders as of last week. So you have 30 leaders in their crew, 50 people going to the field a day. Okay, and then they're our crossline in Hollywood, California. Right, we're definitely going to get to that position. Cassandra in Charlotte has about 15, 20 leaders. She has about 25, 30 people going to the field every single day on water. Okay, so they run a very well-oiled machine. This industry runs a very well-oiled machine under Richard's mentorship. Okay, but the average across the nation is about 10 to 15. Can we agree there? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, if we have 2.5 sales a day, and we multiply that by 10 people, that means how many sales a day are we doing?
25.
25 sales a day. Not too hard math, right? Right? Can I say that?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, do you want to use Verizon or Nestle?
Verizon.
Ooh, that was a tie.
Nestle.
That was a tie. Who said it? That was who said it, right? Rock, paper, scissors. Which one do you want to use? On shoot. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ready? On shoot. You're gonna say it. Ready? Rock, paper. Oh my God, y'all have no coordination.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh my God. YouTube heard you. YouTube heard you. Cool. We'll use Nestle for right now. Okay. Cool. Now the best way to do it is just replace the owner's profit instead of the price by our price. Make sense? And I'll show you how to do that. Okay. Cool. So 25 sales a day, right? Times 6 days gets us how many?
150.
150.
Yeah,
Yes, it is
150.
150. And that's sales on what?
Nestle.
On Nestle, yeah. And what's the time frame? A week.
Yeah, business week.
Okay, so 150 sales a week. Not bad. That's not bad by all means. Okay. Now the way it works is on the side. I'm going to show you how owner's profit works. So per every sale, Nestle pays us 107. Correct?
Right.
On average, how much of that goes to the rep?
50.
50. Right. 50 goes to the rep. So that leaves left for the owner 57. Now I know there's some entry levels that get paid 40, some leaders that get paid 50, some level 2s that get paid 60. Okay, but the average is, can we say, is 50?
Yes.
So this is gross profit, and then the 57 is what kind of profit?
No.
Net profit. Okay, this is a little bit of business school for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all we're doing is if we can multiply this by 107. But then we have to subtract it by the commission that we're paying out yield, because immediately, who gets paid when we get the direct deposit? We pay it to reps, right? We pay it to y'all. The money goes straight to y'all. So if we want to do times 57, that gives us the gross or the net profit?
No. Oh, sorry.
It gives us the net. Okay. Now this is for your water. This is for just fish bowls. Okay. For Dish over here on 5G. Okay. The gross profit is 210. The owner's profit, okay, is 120. 120. Make sense? And you have any questions on any of that? Anybody confused? Should I start over, Sharon? Do you have any questions so far? Should I start over? All right. Everyone make sense of that? Is it okay to be transparent with profits?
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So, right, times 57, that gives me how much net profit a week?
$8,550.
$8,550. Cool. Now, that's net, correct?
Yes.
Now, is it safe to say that there's expenses that come into a business?
Yes.
Okay, now anywhere from a rookie owner, the thing is not only for the first month does your promoting owner pay for all of your expenses in the first month, okay, but we try to minimize all of your expenses to have a very, very low overhead. Does anybody know what overhead is? Anybody know what overhead is that's a little newer? Anyone want to guess what overhead is? Go ahead.
I guess
You're confident.
maybe over here, I guess with the expenses. That's it? Oh.
That's it, expenses.
Yeah.
Done. Yes, overhead is expenses. That's it. Right, good job. Now with confidence, what's overhead?
Expenses.
Expenses. Business school. Okay? Fast. Yeah, overhead is just expenses. How much does it cost? Excuse me. Okay. Oh God. How much does it cost to operate the business every week? Okay. Now, a new owner, we want to keep it to about $2,000 a week. That's about a good. Now, in order of running a business, can we agree that's very, very low?
Yeah.
Is that weekly?
Weekly, can we agree that's very, very low?
Mm-hmm.
That includes accounting, bookkeeping, okay, recruiting, rent, everything like that. We keep it to almost 2,000 or below. Can we agree that's absolutely insane? Okay, have you ever seen the expenses on just like our insurance, our business insurance is included in that. Do you know how much usually business insurance is a week? It's usually in the 20Ks. Like, have you ever seen the business? Someone look up how much it costs. Well, not right now, but someone look up how much it costs to have business insurance on like a McDonald's or like a franchise like Chick-fil-A. It's absolutely insane. It's like 30-ish K when I last time I looked. Like for a Starbucks, it's absolutely even more insane. Okay, because you have like perishables. Anyways, right? So that being said, our expenses on average is about 2,000 for a promoting owner. It's gonna be about 4,000. So can we say the average is about 3,000?
Yeah.
Cool. Can we say that? What's up?
So I got a question since you said like But isn't McDonald's like tied in with the government? So because you know it's like hourly pay, like you have to clock in, so like 100%. So like, what's the difference between like you said this is like a self-owned business instead of like government type?
Corporation.
You're talking about how we differ from
McDonald's. So basically, you said
McDonald's is that we don't have to pay for a franchising.
Okay.
So we're a third party customer acquisition, so we don't have to pay a franchising to use Nestle. Instead, we have a contract with them. Okay, so we're like, I'm the sole owner of this company. So then someone can say they own a McDonald's, but they can't say they own a company that works with McDonald's. Do you see the difference between that? So if you're gonna own a McDonald's, you have to pay the franchising fee. For McDonald's, for Starbucks, for Chick-fil-A. For Chick-fil-A, I think it's like $50K to own to even just get a franchising fee. Okay, we do not have to pay franchising fee. That comes through our brokerage. They actually pay that for us. What's up?
What's the difference between owner, overhead versus a rookie owner versus promoting owner for the overhead? What's the difference? Why would
Usually the only thing that usually changes is your expenses won't change a lot more. What's gonna change is like the amount of where you funnel your money. Like as a promoting owner, right? I funnel a lot of more of my money into recruiting, because I wanna start pushing the office now that I know where this office can be, right? A rookie owner, I'm trying to minimize expenses. So think about it, like we started a business with 4 people. So does it make sense to funnel $5,000 a week to hire 50 people? Like they legitimately cannot get trained. So slowly starting like incrementally increasing in recruiting is why some owners' expenses will go up.
Thank you.
That's a great question first off. These are both great questions. Anybody have any other questions? No? Cool, let's keep going. Alright, so with that being said, the weekly expenses at $3,000, and we will also run a meeting next Tuesday of how an owner's expenses are broken down. Like every week, I get a financial report by our bookkeeper. Her name's Laura Porter. Okay, how much it charges to run the business, and I'll go by each one financially. Okay, so for right now we're just gonna label it as weekly expenses. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the net cash flow is how much?
$5,550.
Awesome. Every
Week.
and so that means after now, does owner's pay come out of this?
No.
Now let's separate this two, okay? Because the way it works is, right, between this owner's payroll and net profit, Alexis has already paid herself. I have already paid myself. Okay, this is what's going back into the what?
Business.
The business. Okay, the way you create wealth and the way you create a lot of money are very different. Okay, because yes, that's Alexis's money for hands down. But think about it. Would it make sense to take all the money out of the business right away?
No.
No, right? How would we pay for conferences? How would we pay for more recruiting? How would we pay for bonuses and stuff like that? Right? You want to make sure that you're still letting your business eat as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. So this is going back. This is after expenses, after the owner paid themselves, after they paid the reps. This is how much is going back into the business. What's up?
So you said like the owner pays himself, do they pay himself like just what you said to the 57, and then, or is there like other stuff like that too?
You actually determine your pay when you're an owner.
Oh, okay.
Right, like you determine your pay. So I personally, if anybody wants to know, that's why I still go to the field. I only pay myself what I make in the field still. And I let everything funnel back into the business because now I'm an asset rather than a liability to my business.
And that's for every owner, like just in our business, like Nestle lets you do that, or?
It's the way our business runs. It's called an S corp.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, that's just it's a little more business talk.
Yeah.
Cool. And with that being said, right, you can pay yourself whatever. You can pay yourself all 5,000. You can pay yourself $6 and a high five. You can go anywhere between that. Right? It's like what's financially makes sense for you. Okay. Now there's some things that now if you're gonna receive coaching, right? Like Alexis is such a great student. She's like, hey, this is how much my business made, right? Her business after paying everyone made $3,000 last week, right? Which is 150K. And she's telling me like, hey, out of this, like what's a reasonable amount to pay? And that's just such a great student, right? Because you determine your own pay. Can we agree now why standards are so important?
Yes.
Because anybody who's unethical, who wants instant gratification versus delayed, what would somebody with wrong morals do? Take the whole thing and have a great Friday and weekend, right? And yes, it's still there for you, right? But it's like, hey, which one do you want to last longer, right? Your hangover or your business.
Business.
Okay, type of thing. Okay, now this is what just hitting the standard. Now let's talk about if your standards were to drop as a rep in the field, how that translates when you're an owner. Okay, so you don't do your one-on-ones, you don't honor the partnership, you're not reading books, so you can't retain that sharp person that you like. Okay, so a couple of people fall off, they find a different opportunity. So 2 people quit. Is that okay to talk about turnover?
Yes.
Okay? And you're not doing what it takes. You don't go to the field every single day, right? You're not setting the pace in the field as a core leader. So people get away from 2.5 sales a day, and instead they do 1.5. They just drop it by. Everyone does 1 less sale. How many sales a day is your business bringing?
12.
12. Okay. And let's go through this a little faster. 6 days that we work gets us 84, 82, 72.
Yep.
Every week, we times that by 57. Okay, that gets us what?
4,104.
Okay, and let's say you keep this going. Let's say your expenses slowly start going up. Okay. And now you took on more expenses. You bought a better office. Okay, you put in more recruiting, but you can't retain them because you stop reading books, you stop honoring the partnership. So now your expenses are went up a little bit higher than they should have been, and instead of 3,000, they're 4,500. Okay. Okay, what does that leave us with?
396 minus, like, so negative 396.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a business term for you. Right? Whenever you get a financial report, anything that's expenses not only shows up in red, but also shows up in parentheses. Okay, they don't put a negative, they put parentheses. That's how you know that something's in the negative. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now you just, by letting your standards fall in headcount and in sales production, okay, now that's how much your office is producing. You do that times 52 weeks in the year.
Ooh. 20,592.
And the whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we told you in this business, hey, there's absolutely no ceiling. And we were 100% serious. It's uncapped for you, that means it's uncapped for us. I have no problem saying that. Okay, but even though there's no ceiling, there's also no floor. Okay, this is true business. This is what it takes. Okay, and think about it. We lost 2 people. And we just let the standards drop by 1. That means every leader that we need 3 to qualify for an interview, just does 2. And how many, you don't have to raise your hand, please don't, right? But how many of us have let that happen in the field? You don't have to raise your hand.
No.
How many of us have let that happen in the field where we're like, it's just 1? How many of us were one away from qualifying? Right? How many of us were so close to either halfway qualifying? Right? It never happens where we drop the standard from 6 down to 4. And some people are stopping at 2 and 3. And that's standards. That's what standards really means. Long term, right? Your office, I promise you, your future office is looking at you right now. Because the best thing is who do you think you're going to leave with when you make it to management? You're going to leave with somebody in this office. We are going to take some people in this office and move them with you. And if they know that XYZ person is okay with leaving with 0, leaving with 1, leaving with 2, that's the same way they're going to treat their business. So do you think they want to up and move their life and get the opportunity from that person? No. The sad fact is no. Right? So that's why when I'm texting people with my voice message, who's received a voice message from me already? Like during while they're in the field, ever. Okay, cool, right? That's why I'm telling you, like, hey, give me 1 more in 30 minutes. Give me 1 more in 30 minutes, because I'm trying to raise your belief for your future office, not for mine. Okay, not mine. I know I will do what it takes in the field, and that does not mean to be cocky, right? That just knows that Richard instilled that same standard in me. And my main priority is to get you to management before I become your friend. I would rather be the person that gets you and your family financially free than is the one that tells you, hey, it's okay, take the day off. Okay, because we're like, managers have the ability to have foresight, to be able to be proactive. Alexis is crushing it. There hasn't been a single week since she opened up the business that $10,000 in gross profit hasn't come in through the fund. It's absolutely insane. There hasn't been 1 week where her business has not profited under $2,000 a week. I have no problem saying that. And I'm still like, hey, what would Richard tell you to do? And I'm still, hey, live below your means. Because Richard's still telling me as a promoting owner, hey, go to the field when you can. Hey, what would you want me to do if I was in your office right now? And that's not micromanaging. I appreciate that. Because how many of us, right, have ever cut short our diet? Have missed that day in the gym? Have gotten just one more dessert? Have spent maybe a little too much from their Friday check? How many of us, yeah, some people looked away. Some people were like, Jenny, shut up. How many of us stopped at that cookout on the way home when we knew there was food in the fridge? Yeah. Okay, me too. Okay, me too. That is why uplines are there. Because when it's 7:30 and it's getting a little bit dark, and no one is looking, and you can sit on that curb and scroll through Instagram and no one will ever know, I promise you there's somebody in your future office, there's your future leader looking at you right then and there. There's that new hire who might see something through the window, or might see something on the other street, seeing you on the curb. Hit that last door. Go an extra 5 minutes. Right? If you want to live a life without looking at the price tag, right, you got to work today without looking at the clock. And stop waiting so much for a break and start looking for a big break. We got to get into that mentality. Right? Win the day in goals, not in production. I will not touch the car again until I have 40 touches. I'm telling my team, right? And it's funny because I was with the rep yesterday, and he was on the phone. And I'm like, hey, bro, like this is game time. Right? Like, would you rather blast Kanye West and get ready for the game, or do you want to talk about finances and go over accounting reports? Like, which one gets you more pumped for the day? He's like, hands down. I'm like, cool, then hang up the freaking phone and let's go. He's like, my bad. I'm like, it's cool. I don't blame you, right? But I need to hold those standards, because if I wasn't there, how would he be doing? How would that person be treating their new hire? Right? Like when you walk in, there's leaders that are like, "Hey, I already taught back in my systems. That's why I'm promoted." Yes, but no. Right? You can get in here early, and some people go straight. I don't know what. It's almost like a magnet. People walk in and they're like, oh, outside patio. And then they just sit down and do nothing. Right? Like some people, I think we need to do a better job at like, my future office is looking at me. My future office is watching how I work. My future office is watching how I leave the field with 0. My future office is watching how I talk to my downlines and my upline. That's another one. I'm coming passing and I'm like, wow, we haven't talked to y'all's team. Crazy. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow. Respect can be a little bit up. Right? And I'm like, there's somebody that is either getting attracted by your leadership or disarmed by it. There is somebody. And entry levels, this goes for us as well. You're being like, I'm seeing, hey, how do you work now? Because there's someone that's gonna walk in, and I'll be like, man, that person looks just like Key. That person walks, talks, acts, motivated, right? Conducts himself just like Key. And if Key's doing the right things today, if Key's the one that's teaching back the systems every single day and going out there, I'm like, take him. And I know you can get this person to leadership. But if I have the slightest doubt in Key, does it make sense to put someone under Key, to set someone up for failure like that? No. Right, so my job is to hold Key to those standards because he doesn't know what he doesn't know. I know what I know. I know what he needs to know. Because I had to go through it. That's why your uplines are there. Right, that's why those uplines are in place. That's why they're training y'all today. Because what I'm trying to help everyone understand is that I never understood why my mentor told me the things he did until now. So some of y'all try to understand the why. You won't understand it for a couple of months. So until then, just do it. You don't have to know the why to get the result. Make sense? Right, so your future office is looking at you. What do you want them to see? Are they going to use that?
Yeah.